Hi, I'm Caleb Giddings from Gun Nuts Media. Last month, we did a video debunking some of the myths that are commonly spouted by the sort of people who think open carry is a good idea. Now, based on some of the creative feedback I've gotten from that video, I wanted to make a video for you guys called How to Succeed at Open Carry. Because like I said in the original video, I think open carry should be legal. I think concealed carry should be legal. I think that it should be perfectly legal to carry a handgun however you see fit while going about your business. But it's not, and it never will be, because there are going to be cultural elements that will always make open carry unacceptable in some areas. But if you insist on open carrying, here is how to do it successfully. The first thing that you have to do if you're going to open carry, and this is non-negotiable, anybody who open carries and doesn't do this will never be respected by people like me, people who are serious about this, because they're being intentionally unsafe. And you hear this all the time from open carry advocates. Well, cops open carry. Yes, they do. And cops use retention holsters. So the absolute non-negotiable first thing that you must do if you are going to open carry is have a retention holster. Like this. That's a Safariland SLS. Now, you don't need to have a full duty rig, all right, like that. That's not necessary. They make good retention holsters that attach to a regular belt, a regular gun belt, and aren't necessarily this giant duty rig, but you have to have one. The minimum acceptable holster for open carry is a Safariland ALS. The Blackhawk Serpa is not an acceptable holster for open carry because it's a piece of shit, but the Safariland ALS is not. Interestingly, the Blackhawk Omnivore is also an excellent holster for open carry as far as retention holsters go. It's gotten very positive reviews from people that I trust in the industry. If you want to go old school, get a holster with a thumb brake on it. You know, one of those old snap leather holsters if you want to be old school like an old fool who's so cool. But at an absolute minimum, you must have a retention holster. And the reason you must have a retention holster is because, and I touched on this in my myths video, your situational awareness isn't as good as you think it is. Mine's not. I know that there are times when I'm walking the dog and I get sucked into something and I look up and somebody's way closer to me than I want them to be. Or times when I'm driving a car and I look left and I look right and I don't look left again and I pull into traffic and I almost get T-boned. Sometimes your situational awareness isn't going to be good enough. And that's all well and good when you're in the grocery store, or when you're, maybe not when you're in traffic, probably not when you're in traffic actually, but when you're walking around with an openly displayed handgun, your situational awareness needs to be that good. And one of the things to bear in mind too is with cops, even cops, their situational awareness isn't that good all the time, but cops have the ability to call for other people with guns to come help them, and you don't have that ability if you get in a life or death struggle. If somebody goes for a gun grab on your openly carried XD in a shitty Uncle Mike's holster and you're fighting this gun grab, you can't reach up like this and hit your radio and yell officer in distress or officer needs help, because you don't have that radio. At a very minimum, to successfully open carry, you must have a retention holster. That is my absolute rule number one, unbreakable. If you open carry without a retention holster, you're an asshole. Rule number two, don't be a weirdo. And this could be interpreted in a lot of ways, and it applies to a lot of things. But I'll just go down a short list here of weirdo type behaviors. Carrying a rifle, dressing like a weirdo, smelling gross, trying to talk to people that don't want you to talk to them. And we'll touch on that in our last one, the whole talking to people that don't want you to talk to them, being a dick to the cops when someone calls the cops because someone's probably going to call the cops, things like that. Three of these are real easy to address, and they're kind of obvious weirdo behaviors, but carrying a rifle in public is weird. All right? Look, I don't care what you think, but there is honestly no reason to go about your business as a private citizen carrying a long gun in an urban area or a suburban area. In a rural area, sure, man, we got goofy stuff out there like mountain lions and crap. All right, that's fine. Carry a long gun for that. But this isn't Wind River, and we're not riding ATVs into the snowpack. Okay, you guys that are carrying long guns around developed areas are weirdos. All right. And think about this. My reaction as a member of the military, as an armed citizen, if I see some dude walking around with a long gun, I am going to think about the angles that I need to take so I can shoot this guy when he starts trying to shoot up the Starbucks or whatever it is that we're in. My automatic default assumption when I see somebody walking around in public with a long gun who isn't obviously a cop is that's probably a bad guy and I should be concerned about that, because carrying a long gun in public is weird. It is abnormal behavior. It is the definition of not normal, and things that aren't normal tend to draw attention. And when those things that aren't normal can also kill me, they tend to draw a lot of attention, all right? So that's a perfect example. Another example is dress and appearance, okay? I'm not like what you would call a snappy dresser. I love to wear t-shirts and board shorts, and when I'm not at work, I don't like to shave too much. But I don't, well, sometimes I dress like a hobo, but I also don't open carry. So I'm not representing anything other than myself. And I don't care if people think that I look like a hobo when I'm walking around with a concealed firearm. All right. I don't. But I'm also not doing something that gets everyone to look at me. So if you are going to open carry, dress like a grown-up, all right? You wear nice pants, you wear a nice shirt. It had better have a collar on it, honestly. Like t-shirts, if you're going to open carry, t-shirts, not acceptable. Collared shirts, okay? Get your dress and appearance squared away. And there was this smacktard who posted on one of those, I forget which forum, and he was talking about how like he likes to wear shiny combat boots when he open carries. Don't do that. Wear normal shoes, you weirdo. See, that's that weirdo behavior. Things like combat boots and dressing weird. That's weirdo. That's high tier weirdo behavior. So don't do it. All right. Dress like you think. You know what? Dress like an LAPD detective dresses in Bosch, okay? At the minimum, you are wearing a shirt with a collar on it. It's neat. It's tucked in. Your pants look good. And you should probably be wearing, like, decent shoes, not, a beat-up pair of New Balance shoes that are covered in grass stains, all right? When you are open carrying, you are, by default, representing all gun owners, including me. And if you look like a gross, smelly a-hole, people are going to make negative assumptions about the rest of us. And I don't want people to think I'm a gross, smelly a-hole. Well, any more than the people that already do. And the last thing, take a shower too, like make sure you're clean. And the last thing that's a weirdo behavior is carrying guns into places where you know it's going to freak people out, like the bank, all right? In some states, it's legal to carry in banks. Some it's not. Know your local laws. In 100% of states, in anything more than, rural BFE-istan in Wyoming, a dude with a gun in a bank does not have any positive social connotations for anyone. All right? So don't carry guns into places where it's going to make people get freaked out, like freaking banks, okay? I feel like that's a no-brainer, but the emotional reaction that a person in, say, a grocery store is going to have to some guy who's wearing a neat tucked in polo shirt with a nice belt and good slacks and clean shoes and good presentation, and they're walking around a grocery store, the emotional reaction they're going to have to that person versus the emotional reaction they're going to have to kind of a dirty, slobby looking person in the bank are completely different things. So if you insist on open carrying, don't look like a freaking slob, don't dress in weird ways, and don't carry your gun in places where it's going to freak people out, specifically banks, okay? Stop with the open carrying in a bank. Unless you're also carrying a sack full of cash, like just a freaking giant bag full of money, don't OC in a bank. The last thing we're going to talk about is don't carry your gun openly to make a political or social statement. It does not work. It absolutely doesn't work. And you can look at prominent civil rights activism in the past, and what has always worked is just being a normal person who does this thing. All right. Prominent in your face activism rarely works, especially if you have the attitude of, I'm doing this to educate the people about their rights. All right. That makes you an a-hole too when you're doing it with a gun, okay? And before somebody draws a comparison to the civil rights movement of the 1960s or other things like that, the conversation is fundamentally different when you're carrying a gun, okay? And when you're going out in an antagonistic manner to educate people about their rights or hopefully get the cops called on you, you are now acting in an antagonistic manner while you're armed. And that makes you an asshole. It does. And if you choose to carry your gun openly, choose to do it because it's the way you carry your gun. Not because you're trying to make a statement or you're trying to educate anyone or you're trying to teach people about their rights. That's just how you carry. And if it's legal, fine. The problem is that every time we talk about open carry, someone says, oh, I'm that guy. I just open carry because that's the way I carry. But I've never seen that guy, and I've never met that guy. And right now, that guy, if you're out there, your voice is being drowned out by all these loudmouths who are looking for attention and trying to get people to look at them because, I don't know, their dad missed a hug or their mom didn't love them or something. So those are 3 good tips on how to succeed at open carry. And I'll offer one more before we close this video. The best way to succeed at open carry is don't. I'm Caleb Giddings. Thanks for watching.